our work centers, the Freedom Center's work centers Black churches primarily, and also civil rights groups, those two entities. And in many instances, the civil rights arena and the church share very similar DNA. Okay, so when you think about most Black civil rights leaders in particular, they are often faith leaders, or at the very least, people of faith. All right, so it was important to us when thinking about this nexus of faith and justice to understand that you really had to simultaneously have these conversations, ideally, for the level of work we do, because again, our work is culture shift, right? And so we experienced great success through a couple of things. One was we started by having general conversations with Black pastors exclusively in private rooms by themselves. Okay, well, why was that important? That was essential because safe space has to be created to do any of this work. I'm just going to tell you that straight up. If you think you can, as Rev said, if you think you can just bulldoze your way through, that's not going to happen, because culture is among the most difficult things to shift in any human being and in any society, right? To shift culture, because culture takes generations to establish. So if you first give yourself enough grace to understand, it took generations for us to get here. So as we're moving forward, we must be grace-filled in that process. Our first goal was not to make people welcoming and affirming. Our first goal with the Black church was to say, just don't cause harm. Mm-hmm. That was the first step. The first step with the Black church pastors we worked with was, I get that you might not be able to affirm LGBTQ people, but your charge is to not cause harm, similar to doctors and the like, right? Doctor, I cannot cause harm. And so if we own that your rhetoric has been causing harm, has been literally killing people, if not physically, spiritually killing people. If I know that my actions did that, then at the very least, can you not pause the damning stuff? Can you just get off that box, all right, while you're figuring it out? The other thing that I say when we're doing our work is, this reminds me of a conversation that I had when I was in the Church of God in Christ, and my pastor was actually Bishop Charles Blake. I was a member of West Angeles Church of God in Christ, and we were talking about the woman issue at that time. And I had a private meeting with him, and I'm an up and coming evangelist missionary. I'm all excited, and I love Jesus, and I'm all celibate and doing my thing, and when I went in to talk, I was saying to him, I'm troubled by the fact that the way that these things are presented within the church, principles, lessons, messages, it all centers men, and it appears that the issue of women in leadership is not being addressed. And definitely the issue of queer people. And his response was interesting. He clearly was open to the conversation, but he said that it wasn't at my door yet. It wasn't yet at my door, okay? And the church had many things it was doing. I'm sharing this, and I rarely say a person's name, but I'm saying this because I wanted to just note the magnitude of this. This is a man who has definitely evolved as time has gone on. Definitely our church was full of gays and trans. Everybody was up in there, okay? But nobody was willing to really step forward and say, yes, in a full-throated voice, I affirm women in leadership. Yes, in a full-throated voice, we affirm queer people, right? So when you think about it from that vantage point, the opportunity to provide safe space for these leaders to journey themselves is important.